It is 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night and you're on MOSH on Radio Adelaide. And let me see, it's time for 2 hours of the best in punk, metal and hardcore on digital radio, online and 101.5 FM. Let me see if I've got all my guests' microphones correctly turned on. Red lights means things are go. Everybody is switched on. Geez, I'm like a brand new presenter all over again without Will in the studio, who's been running the panel since he joined MOSH. The last 10 years of experience have all fallen away while I've been sitting too easy in the passenger seat. But I'm back on air now. Poor old Will's not here, but that's okay. You get a break from me for the next 2 hours because I've got two guests in the studio. Fellas, introduce yourselves because it's been a while.
Hey, so this is Andrew from Grey Hearts Red.
And I'm Jarryd.
No, I'm just Jarryd. He wandered in. We opened the door for Andrew and Jarryd crawled in.
Yep, I have no idea who this Andrew guy is.
Yeah.
Or what I'm doing here, but I'm here to...
But do you like music?
No, I hate music.
Oh, then we're really going to have some trouble on this program. Bugger.
Damn.
Well, I'm here to recommend you a band. Try Grey Hearts Red.
Oh, really?
You might like them.
Yeah, they're good, are they?
I think so.
Yep.
You think so?
Yeah.
And if you don't like them, maybe My Refuge.
Oh, yeah.
Because you come here doing the double spruik, which I appreciate. You've got a My Refuge t-shirt on. You're like, nah, two for the price of one tonight.
Yep.
Of course.
Definitely.
So, tell us in a nutshell, because across the next 2 hours, we're going to be playing some material from your new album. We're going to be playing some of your other favourites as well. But as quickly as you can, run us through where Grey Hearts Red is up to, because it's been pre-pandemic was the last time you were on the show. So
Yeah, definitely. And just before that, we decided that we were going to record an album, which was awesome. And then we hit the pandemic. And so for us, we were recording in our own home studios and doing that for a couple of years, really, and getting that all ready to go. We finally put together an album that we'd like to showcase tonight a little bit on MOSH. And then we started on the second album, which we're more than halfway through, really. So, yeah, so that's where we're at right at the moment.
Bands always do that. There's always... Because whenever you're releasing something or touring something, the next thing is already like partially done. Particularly these days, I think we're finding a lot of more bands are recording more up front. They'll do a bunch of time in the studio and they'll have a bunch of singles stockpiled that they release throughout a year, or they'll have an album that's kind of on the back burner. So people are always coming in being like, oh, well, this is the thing that listeners can listen to. This is the thing that's happening right now. But the thing you're most excited about, because you know in the back of your head that we can't know about, is the next project that's kind of hidden away. So
yeah, that's
right.
Interesting. Yeah, for us, we got into a process and it just it works for us, so we just keep writing.
Do you consider these projects linked then, because they're a little bit closer together than obviously the release dates are going to be?
Yeah.
Is there a big change, or do they come across as kind of sequels?
It's an evolution of what we've done for this album. Learnt lessons on what we liked and what we didn't like on this, and then continued. So it's linked, but it's its own thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
cool. I mean, even like this one, so it's Whatever I Have Left. And I'm still getting my head around it, I think. Probably because I know your previous material. As soon as you turn it on, it's just like huge riffs. It's like, is this a metal band all of a sudden? Like, what the hell happened? And the guitar-wise and like rhythm, it is like metal music. And then once we get more into the vocal sections, like the choruses and stuff, or even the verses, it becomes more of like a just like an atmospheric, very dramatic, epic rock. But there's lots of knotty pieces in it as well, like interesting juxtapositions of instruments and stuff like that. So I'd be very hard pressed to like decide on a favorite yet. I don't know where I'm at, but I'm liking it as a package because I'm kind of living moment to moment rather than song to song when I listen to it. So that's engaging.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear. We actually heard somebody the other day. They had realised that when they were listening to us one of our songs that they were holding their breath, and they realised that they were. It was that moment of just like, oh, I'm breathing out now. It's like, oh, wow. So
this is edge of your seat music.
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
People are in suspense. They're on tenterhooks the whole way through it, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah,
that's fun.
We were heaps excited about that feedback, so that was really good.
Right. It's good to hear that you're listening to it as an album because I'm an album listener.
We are so committed to albums on this show.
I like
it is such a shame. Like, you know, the structure of the show means we generally don't play whole albums. We might have played a few. You get a punk EP that's 20 minutes long. Sure, we'll play the whole thing.
Yep.
But it's very, very rare we get to play whole albums. We're going to be doing a little bit of that on this show because a lot of the tracks from the album you've chosen tonight. So we might filter them into the set list. So as the show evolves, you get to hear more of what's on the album. But yeah, by the nature of this show, we just play one song from an artist and then move on to something else. But that time to sit down and listen and kind of absorb things as a whole is very interesting as well.
It was very deliberate on this. I'm an album listener myself, so I took a lot of time and effort to decide on the order. So you had a journey from start to finish while keeping each song able to be listened to by themselves, because that's the world we live in today.
That was going to be my question. Does the local scene, does the local industry afford you the luxury of albums anymore? Or is it always like, fuck, you got to get a single as well?
Well, that's the thing. I like albums and these guys do as well. So we wanted to keep that, but then try to also adhere to what the people that listen to singles, so they can listen to just their favorite tracks, and they do make sense of context. Each song kind of has a beginning and end, but it almost feels seamless on the album. Okay. I spent a lot of time making sure that worked.
Yeah.
And I think I succeeded.
No, I'm very happy with the way that it's turned out. Yeah, so I'm very proud of the album. So
very nice. Well, we're going to pump out some songs from the album, and we won't hear every track from the album, but we're going to hear a lot of them, and we'll basically play them in the order they appear on the album as well, so we can stretch out as the song goes along. And then what makes it, as the show goes along, but what makes it really interesting as well is looking at the songs you've chosen tonight from other artists in your playlist.
Yep.
And it's like this big butterfly net. It's like, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. I'm going to grab over here, and each one individually, I can kind of make sense of how they get into Grey Hearts Red, which is kind of fun as well. It's like, oh, maybe production-wise, this one is an influence, and rhythmically, this one is an influence. And it's not the case of like, we're a thrash band, and so here's all our favorite thrash bands. It's like really eclectic stuff, but there's an atmosphere that I think matches you guys as well. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun mixed bag.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Grey Hearts Red, to MOSH on Radio Adelaide. You're on digital radio, online at 101.5 FM. You can find us on the Radio Adelaide website, radioadelaide.org.au. We'll be going through that many more times in the show, I'm sure. Grey Hearts Red here until midnight. Whatever I Have Left is the new album that's on now. We're actually not going to start with you guys, though, because you've chosen a beefy track. You sent me a playlist, and you're like, oh, it's not 100% on the order. Like, you know, can shuffle it around a bit. But the one that was at the top was Goliath by Carnival.
Sure.
I was like, ooh, now that's a fucking opener.
Yeah.
Now that's like a big... And as soon as I saw it, I was like, Carnival, that's a good pick. Like, that's a good, one link across to Grey Hearts Red, which makes sense to me. So tell me about this track, Goliath by Carnival.
Okay, well, this one was chosen by Ryan, and it's one that both of us have really enjoyed Carnival over the years, and so they're a fairly big influence for us. Like, it's a great Aussie band, and so anything off the first two albums, I guess, for me is great to listen to and sit back and enjoy. So Goliath was that track that I thought, that we really love that one. So, yeah. And it's one that probably Jarryd hasn't even heard.
No.
He's looking confused.
Yeah.
This guy Jarryd who walked in.
No.
I actually don't listen to much of what they listen to at all.
No. So
that's always fun. That's fun. That only goes two ways in a band. That either is the death of a band because no one has any common interest, or it makes for a really, really interesting band because you approach things from completely different sides.
Yeah.
So
it makes it interesting, I think.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and for all three of us, we listen to different things, but this is a crossover for me and Ryan.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a whirl. Jarryd, for the first time, here's Carnival by Goliath. Carnival. Here we go. You're on MOSH on Radio Adelaide.
World isn't the way I see it. What if the rules don't apply? What is it that I'm waiting for when no one blinks an eye? When nothing looks like it's changing, what's the reason to try? When it all seems to add to zero, no reason why. When I'm fighting this buzz-ducking machine, standing 10 miles high. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step behind. Face my old demons, sword at my side. Making a fortune in nickels and dimes. What am I waiting for? Now is the time. It's all off kilter. When the balance of power is weighted just to one side, if the odds are all against me, 3 to 1 I'll survive. Will I run straight into the conflict or run away and hide? There's courage in this, just plain stupid. No time to decide. Can I fight when I'm only just standing? Hands are bound, feet are tied. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step behind. Face my old demons, sword at my side. Making a fortune in nickels and dimes. What am I waiting for? Now is the time. It's all off kilter.
You're back on the Syncopation with Groove hour, or 2 hours in this case, as we've defined it here. We've been listening to those 3 tracks together, and we're just like, there's some connecting tissue in there. It's also just that 1-2 punch. It's like lows and highs against each other, just like dun 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 wah, dun 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 wah, like my very bad a cappella of metal riffs. But a lot of them have been like a chunky and then like a high harmony on the top or something like that.
Yeah.
Divide by the Plot in You there. In the middle, we heard from our guest this evening, Grey Hearts Red. Off Kilter was the track, and before it, Carnival with Goliath. And all of them having that good groove to them, but a lot of texture. Lots of texture on all 3 songs, and we'll be hearing more of your textured stuff as the album goes on tonight. One thing you were saying, Jarryd, was about the 2-step came in on Plot in You, and you were like, good. Like some simple stuff is just always effective. Like a 2-step will just always be effective. You can overcomplicate things.
Yeah, sometimes simple is best.
Right. So what's really cool about that is let people know your instruments, by the way, really quickly, for anybody who doesn't know.
Sure. So I'm vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guitar and bass.
Guitar and bass.
Yes.
Rightio. So there's lots of really good space in the Grey Hearts Red songs, which is fun because there's lots of layering, and we're going to get into time signatures a bit, right? We're going to get into time signatures later on, and that can make things sound very busy. Yes. Or maybe, like, I did use the word knotty before, and I think there are some of those sections when you want the riffs to be, like, kind of complex and hard to hum, and then you don't overlayer things so that people lose the effect of the good stuff.
Yes.
Like, you give a lot of big space, and you open it out, and then you wait, and then a riff comes back in, and it's much better having waited for it than if the whole thing was, balls to the wall.
Yep.
Rather people be wanting more than getting sick of it.
Yes, 100% right. And so like the drums in the verses of Grey Hearts Red, of Off Kilter particularly, was just like a bass snare and hi-hat pattern. And it was just really open. It was like boom, boom, tss, 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 and it just carried it enough up to the point where the riff would come back in. I think that's really interesting.
Yep.
Maybe go through a little bit. It's early days. We've still got lots to hear from the album, but I'm interested in some of the compositional stuff. Like, how early does this the arrangement part come into the writing?
Well, we actually write in a very different mode, I think.
Okay.
The drums are first on most of these tracks.
That is different. Shit.
So Ryan, he structures a song and comes up with beats that he finds interesting that aren't necessarily too overcomplicated and nothing set in stone, but he'll have a full structure of a song. So when I got Off Kilter, before it was named Off Kilter, obviously, that was pretty much the structure of the song. I think we changed it a little bit, but the idea was he came up with the beats that he liked and then I wrote to those beats.
So he's not bringing any chords or or key, and not just here's some drum beats.
Here's some drum beats. Here's the tempo. And then I've written.
You said we write fairly differently, and I will admit I was like, here we go, let's see, because you asked a lot of people about their methods, and I thought let's see how different. But fucking hell, drums first with nothing else is very.
And we pretty much write the song finished, and then the vocals come.
Yep. So it's about responding. So Ryan puts his stuff down, and then Jarryd will respond in bass or in guitar first, and then those things will kind of make their way out. And then once it's nearly finished, it comes to me, and then I have to find a melody and words that actually fit what the music they've produced is. So for me, it's about responding to what the music is already saying. So I'm listening to hear what the mood is and where it's going to kind of find a way of what lyrically it's going to be talking about.
So themes, symbols, ideas, whatever that is any of that set in place before you walk in? Or you've got to say, oh, this song feels like this to me, and just create?
Yep, that's the second one. Yep.
It sounds like you don't like each other, or you don't like yourselves. You've taken the rule book, you're like, nah, fuck it. Absolutely not.
We've just found that this way works the fastest, the best, and we're all really happy with the outcome of it.
I find it the most challenging, but it also brings the best out of me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I listen to a lot of metalcore.
Okay.
And didn't want this to be a metalcore album. You can still feel and hear probably a lot of the influence.
That's why I was saying the playlist tonight is bits that are in there, but it's not any of those other specific genres.
Yeah, so one of the things we distinctly said, we didn't want any double kick on the drums, so none of that, but we still wanted, and I find I will write too metalcore-ish or simple sometimes in a bad way, where it's just chords and then I get bored. If I don't have what he has in the context of trying to keep it not metalcore.
Yeah. Okay, I hear that.
It's just, it's a weird way of writing, but it's brought the best out of me as a guitarist and a bassist. And don't know why it works, but it does.
Well, let's hear some of that work in action. The next one is Erased. Who wants to tell us about this track before we hit play? Anything to say about Erased?
Sure. Well, this one really talks about where we were. I think it's a reflection on what was happening at the time for us, because we were all locked away in our rooms with COVID, and so it wasn't really reflecting so much about the actual time that we were in. It was actually more figurative. So it was talking more about the way that we can lock ourselves away, convince ourselves to not actually show who we really are, and to cage ourselves in, and also to be convinced by other people that, you're safe. You just keep safe, do that sort of stuff, and stay away from risk or trouble, or or don't try new things. Just stay safe. And so that's really lyrically, that's where it's all about.
Okay, it's got a good place then early on in this show. So that if you say it's a little bit more about like kind of where you were, you get erased for that picture of the moment that it was written. And then we're going to go, further and further off onto this journey through the new album by Grey Hearts Red. If anybody's just tuned in and you don't know what's going on, Grey Hearts Red are live in the studio, back for the first time on MOSH after 4 years. Yeah, so it's good to have you back. And we're going to really dissect this album. We've got a lot of the new album called Whatever I Have Left here to play this evening, including this track here called Erased. You're on MOSH.
contact will gradually fade. Doors are locked for your safety. Do as we say. You're secure, protected. Please enjoy your stay. Don't you know the world inside is such a lovely place? And in here, all that
try to do, I overthink what I'm supposed to do. No matter how I try, I never seem to be satisfied. In my mind, time and again, take the blame that is crushing, coming in waves in my head, it keeps drumming. Drop to my knees, say a prayer, keep on running.
You're back on MOSH on Radio Adelaide. That one's a song we played before. That was Vygotsky by Grey Hearts Red. So that was one of the singles that we've given a spin before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
First single of the album.
Yep. Yeah. Whatever I have left is the name of the album that's out now that we're going through here on MOSH with Grey Hearts Red live in the studio. Before it, Bring Me the Horizon. Now, this is what happens when only a couple of members come into the studio from the band. I mean, we don't have enough microphones for everybody to come in and chat. But I was like, oh, Bring Me, and Happy Song too, off of That's the Spirit. What's that? I was going to talk about our favourite era of Bring Me the Horizon, and I got blank stares back at me. You're not this is supplied by a band member who's not in the studio tonight. This isn't yours, but shout outs to Ryan for that one. And Erased, we started the set, another Grey Hearts Red song as we travel through the new album that is out. Fucking around on the 5, but like it's not a 5/4, it's like a 5/8 because it's like a fast count. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 compared to the drums pulse, which is like bomb, 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 bomb. So musical shenanigans on display.
Yeah, Ryan likes to throw me curveballs because, like we said before, drums are quite often written first, and that was one of them. And he likes to throw me curveballs and make it interesting, and then I throw things back at him, even though he's done. But he has to try and put feels in that make sense and all that sort of jazz. And then that one was a tough one to crack, actually. But I'm very proud of that one. That one's got a good feel, and then a very simple chorus.
Yeah,
that riff is very repetitive and just it's just the same thing repeated and gives a nice contrast to how complicated the verse can sound.
Yeah. The cool thing is I don't think any of your music sounds like overly busy or convoluted. It's not difficult to listen to, even if you start to nod your head to it and you're like, well, hang on, where's the fucking one? Like, where are we going? Like, it's not like a flurry of notes or any I mean, I'm a big prog fan, so I don't mind, but I know it can be like hard. It stays very musical. Your stuff stays very musical and very sort of anthemic, even though you are straying from what people think of as normal choruses. So I think that's a testament, I think.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Erased and Vygotsky, both singles. I think something you said before off mic, Andrew, was Off Kilter, which we started the show with after Carnival, of course. But the first song we heard from your album tonight was almost a single.
Yeah,
and then you're like, no track ones can be singles. It's not technically track one. There's a short song called Static before it, like an intro, but it is the first full song on the album. And I guess the idea is that the idea of you can't, like, not putting a single first on the album is to not give people what they're expecting or something like that. Not something they already know.
Yeah, that's kind of the thought pattern behind it. It's just something I've always noticed because I'm, like I said before, I'm an album listener, that when the singles are not, it's pretty rare that is one of the first 2 tracks.
Okay.
And that was a deliberate thought of mine. As much as I liked that song and thought it would have worked as a single, I was like, that's a great way to smack people in the face to open the album and not give them what they're expecting, which is a little bit later on in the singles that we have released.
Yep. It's a fun game, a fun and difficult game. I think I would say, like, if I were in the band, I would say, like, a single being track 1 is okay, but you don't want to do too many singles up the top half. Because then people will be like, I know all this shit, and when as soon as you get to something they don't know, they're like, oh, I'm not listening to this album anymore. So definitely spread them out. But yeah, that track 1, you always. I love track 2s. On this album, I've always talked about, on this show, I've always talked about track 2s. Because track 1 is like, that's your, like, big opener, like you say, it's like a bang right out the gates. But track 2 is where you do something really interesting. Like, that track 2 is where you get, like, In Bloom by Nirvana or Children of the Damned by Iron Maiden. I was thinking of Master of Puppets being track 2 on Master of Puppets after Battery. Like, Battery's like, woof, straight out. Mm-hmm. And then that's where you get your, like, your busy song. I think people tend to, like, go just a little bit slower and we'll do something a little more unusual in track 2. Yeah. I'm always eager. Like, track 1 is that, like, this is what the band sounds like. with a track 1, and then I'm always interested in what they follow it with. So
You could say that we did that too.
yeah, on this show, I think if you were to look at where, like, if I play random songs from different albums from different artists, you'll find there's a lot of track 2s on this show over the years, because I always like pick out that one and think like that's it's not the second best thing they wanted to hear. It's what an artist wants to do to like swap out of what you just heard from track 1.
Yeah.
Like immediately, if you go, oh, I like this song, it's like, how do you follow it and keep them interested whilst also showing your variety as a band?
Without meaning to think like that, we kind of did that with Wolves being technical. Well, it's track 3 technically, but it's second full track, which is a single we released.
I have mucked with this order, haven't I?
Yeah.
You haven't heard the song in the order on the album.
No,
okay.
which is fine.
Okay. That's okay.
It's all right.
No,
You're
I
forgiven.
know. I'm burning bridges. I know.
That's
how
it,
much
I'm out.
album
See ya.
order it matters to you. All right. Well, look. If they're throwing the cat amongst the pigeons anyway, let's play an Offspring song.
Yeah.
Let's change.
Let's thrill it.
Everything's been like groovy and chunky, and it's like, no, fuck it. We're going back to the album Smash.
Yes.
Whose was this?
This is mine.
All right.
So I bought. This is my second tape that I ever bought. The first one was Soundgarden. That was Super Unknown.
Yep.
So, and I'm really proud of being those two. My first purchases. I think like I was that kid back then. He knew what he was doing.
Proved you had cred
Yeah.
from the beginning.
So Smash is a favorite album of mine. I was listening to it just the other day, and I was just thinking, particularly with the words, the lyrics that are all through that, it still speaks today in a huge way. Yeah. And this particular track that I chose really actually encapsulates everything that they talk about on the album, because they talk about gun laws and stuff that's happening with kids at school, and they talk
in like 95.
Yeah.
And then we're 30 years down the line, and there's just that applicability still is very interesting.
And so when you look through it all and what he's saying, there's the song that I chose was really about just saying it's going to be a long time before things change. Like we can see all of these things that we want change for, but I think we're going to be waiting a long time before it happens. And yeah, for me, it was just a real Smash in itself is a great album. If you sit there and listen to it, it takes you to all sorts of different places, and I really love the little spoken word stuff that they have at the very beginning. I think, and there's a little bit the way through. It gives you a little bit of a journey, and it's a bit fun. But they're talking about really serious stuff as well at the same time, and it's just one of those albums that I think was just put together really, really well.
I will talk about The Offspring all night. I think they're fucking fantastic. They're one of my favorite punk bands. And I was listening to some other pop punk band from a similar era, and they reminded me of The Offspring. And the more I listened, the more I just thought, like, they don't have what The Offspring have, which is there's a real X factor with them. Sometimes it was Dexter's voice. Sometimes it was those really iconic guitar hooks. Like, they wrote really important hooks, which helped their songs get over the edge, or those like Come Out and Play and Pretty Fly for a White Guy and stuff like that, which made them like mega radio hits.
Yeah.
And there was just some sort of like dynamite in The Offspring sound that makes I go back to them all the time. So
It's
super stoked to have them on the playlist.
There's
tonight.
joy.
Yeah, I think so.
There's this joy and fun in it as well, but there's also serious stuff that they're talking about in it as well, which I really love.
Yeah, their sound is very bright and abrasive at the same time.
Yes.
All right, let's give it a spin. It'll be a long time by The Offspring here on MOSH on Radio Adelaide. All right, so it's time for your 11 o'clock math lesson here on MOSH on Radio Adelaide. We mentioned, I think we teased a little bit about time signatures. We teased a little bit about syncopation, and that one there, the most brutal one. So we'll get to that in a second. Let's go from the top this time. We started with It'll Be a Long Time by The Offspring, then into TVA by Confessions of a Traitor. Both of those chosen by our guest this evening, the Greyhearts Wake, who we heard from next with Wolves and Uppercut. We played them back to back as they appear on the album because I needed to earn back some brownie points because I was messing with your order.
I'm used to it by now.
That's right. When Andrew came in, he had a playlist of songs, and he said that he'd started with a playlist and he kind of like chucked in one of these and chucked it like it was kind of like written as he came up with them. Yeah. And then I said, "Oh, what we will do is we'll at least put the Greyhearts Red songs in the order that they appear on the album."
And then we forgot to.
We shuffle, and then we forgot to. Then we completely screwed it up. So that's okay. But I like Wolves and Uppercut back to back, and. Please explain the many elements of Uppercut. Because I'm not even... No one's asked me to play it. I'm just sitting here in my chair doing the radio, and I already feel anxious and angry, like it's a task that's been put before me to understand this song.
Yeah, Ryan, I think, doesn't like me sometimes. So he wrote this on the drums first. And then he just, for the hell of it, decided I'm going to write a riff, drum beat, that's one beat shorter each time, which is why you get that feeling of it just getting shorter and shorter, and then it repeats again. And so between each syncopation, it's one beat less. So I think it works over 16 beats. So it's actually, we had to write out the click in like 16/4 just so we could get the timing right. So I'm not even sure exactly what the time signature really is technically, but and then we in that verse it goes into a 5/4 just to really mess with people because we hate ourselves as well.
And then the second half of the song is the same as the first half but played backwards?
Pretty much.
Like the notes are in reverse order?
Yeah, not all of it because some of the riffs don't work backwards, but those 5/4 chugging sections with that lead line over the top are exactly reversed, and the beat is reversed too, I believe.
And then lyrically, one extra. Did you tell me the words?
The words.
All the sentences are said backwards.
Yeah, so the words can say if you were to write out all the words and then read it backwards, it would read differently but the same.
Can you give me one sentence that's in there and then the same sentence back?
Not right now, but I can.
See? Yeah. He's like, fuck, what's the... I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
because it's... but there's a changeover about halfway through that track, and I'm using both of those to kind of as it swings back the other direction. So it's one way it sounds like you're being chased, and the other way it kind of sounds more like you're being saved.
Sure.
So so it was quite a bit of work to do, but when the boys were saying that this is a piece where it was kind of reversing and going back the other way, it reminded me of those poems that you can get where you can read it.
That's what I was thinking as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, I want to try one of those and see whether I can get something close to that.
It's not in the middle of the album, though. The way you describe it makes me think that it should be like the halfway point and we get up to it and then there's like the flip over and we come back down. But,
that would make sense, but...
It coincidentally does fit in the middle of the show, though. We played it at 11 at the hour mark. So this is like that we pivoted up to Uppercut and now we're changing direction again. So the album, Whatever I Have Left, the newest one by Greyhearts Red, is out now.
Yep.
And we're giving it a play with Greyhearts Red in the studio, as well as a few of your other selections, including Wolves at the Gate. I'm looking at you because you've picked some heavy tracks. Is Wolves at the Gate yours as well, Jarryd?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Tell me about it.
It's off their second album, which is quite a few years old now, but as I'm an album listener to this, when this track came on, when I first listened to this album, off their album called 5x5, there was just something about it that I really, really just vibed with. I hate that word. I don't know why I used it, but I did ananyway.
Your face as you said it, you're like, I don't know.
Disgusted with myself.
To it.
Yeah, there was some. I like all the songs on the album, but there was something about this one with the just that feeling of suspension with the cleanish sort of guitars, and then the syncopation in it as well. That kind of has this nice feel to it that I quite like.
Yeah. Let's give it a play. Majesty in Misery by Wolves at the Gate here on MOSH on Radio Adelaide.
Death has no hold on me.
That is that little section there was all about the guests now, because in fact this second half of the show, you've done an interesting thing, I think, which is stacked up the other artists sort of at the first half, and we get to spend a little bit more time with your projects in the second half, which is fun.
Yeah.
So we are here with Grey Hearts Red, mostly Grey Hearts Red, with a little bit of moonlighting from my refuge over here from Jarryd. So where were we? So we went from Majesty in Misery by Wolves at the Gate, which was one of your picks.
Yes, it
from
was.
other artists, and then a couple of your own as well. Two My Refuge songs. Death Is Not the End, we heard in the beginning, or in the middle, I should say, and we just finished with Protector.
Correct.
What is My Refuge?
My Refuge is my side project because I started writing a little too heavy for these guys, and I had an itch that I needed to scratch, and it's something I've always done or liked heavy music, so I was like, I needed an outlet for it, and it was a good time when we're having a little bit of a lull in writing, and it's something I've always wanted to do as well. Always dabbled a little bit and written some stuff, but never really written and polished the music. So it was a bit of a scratch the itch for the real heavy stuff. So I didn't go too crazy heavy for these boys and for Grey Hearts Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on all instruments there?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, interesting. Do you do vocals for Grey Hearts Red at all?
Not in this album.
Okay.
In the older stuff, I am in there.
Yeah.
All the screams you hear in the older, less full rock sounding, that screaming is mine. But in this album, it's actually Andrew here that's doing the screams that you hear in whatever I've left.
Yeah. And that came as a bit of a shock.
You woke up one morning and you could do it? You're like,
yeah.
oh!
No, like what happened was I could hear in the music where I would put a scream. And so I put the scream in for Jarryd to listen to and say, when you're ready, can you record your bit?
Which you were never clear with.
No, but Jarryd did come back and just say, why? Why would I need to do that? It sounds great. And I was just like, oh. And so for the rest of the album, I just kind of just kept on doing it, and it worked. And I think for the sound that we've managed to achieve in that as well, I think it works really well. But the question is, will we hear Jarryd's screams on the next album? Well, I think we will.
We may not.
I think we will. So
Don't know yet.
Might be a duet.
Can't dangle the carrot in front of me.
All right.
What else is happening with the new album? Huh? You want to open this door? When's it coming out? What's it called? How many tracks? What's it going to sound like?
We don't have any names to any of them yet. Like this original, this first album, we had just track 1, track 2, track 3 to begin with, and that's because of the method of the way that we're recording as well, which is a bit different. So this new album that we have in mind is pretty much a lot of it is together. It's up to me now to actually get the lyrics and the vocals on board. So I have said that I want to put a time limit on getting all my vocals and stuff done before mid-year next year, which I think is fairly reasonable, and I want to do that before that point. But I'd really want to see the album out next year.
So you can come back on MOSH.
Yeah, definitely. That was
For sure.
the whole reason why we're doing this second
That's what,
album.
honestly, more of the industry needs to align their timelines with appearances on Radio Adelaide.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we can get you 2 times in a row in the top 10 listeners poll for South Australian releases.
That would be nice.
It's been a while since you've been eligible to have a release in there. But
Yeah.
when we run our top 10, our voting polls for best release from South Australia, EP or album, we'll be able to put whatever I have left in there, and hopefully everybody will give it a shout. So that'll be fun.
Would love that.
Obviously.
Obviously. Get around the boys. And then, next year we'll do it. Next year we'll do it all again. We'll have to spruik you.
Yep.
Obviously, I can only spruik you when you're in the studio, because then I'll have another guest next week, and I'll have to pretend that they're my favourite. And then I'm going to choose between all my children over 52 weeks of the year. I'll be like, it's like when you tour different cities, and you're like, you guys are my favourite. I always have having
Best show so far.
This is my favourite city, and then you go to the next one, like, this is my favourite place to play, and you're my favourite guest to have on the show. But it is really good to have Grey Hearts Red back in on Mosh after so long. We're going to play another one off of Whatever I Have Left. This is called Parisia. Parisia. And that is?
That's a good question. Parisia.
Somebody's got to know.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that then. I was like, if you had have asked me what Vygotsky was about, I could have told you straight away. Parisia, I think, is...
What's Vygotsky about?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we played that earlier.
Yeah, we played that earlier, and that's actually it's a Russian psychologist, and actually a lot of his work is based. Like I didn't realize this, but a lot of teachers know it. So I was talking to a guy a couple of weeks back, and he knew exactly who Vygotsky was straight away, which I was like, oh wow! And that was all about the inner voice. So he was looking into the inner voice, which is what that one's all about. Parisia, I think, as I'm thinking it's to do with vision, but I just can't quite remember exactly what the
it's like a term you just like found and thought, okay, this is going to be interesting as like a lyrical idea or a
yeah.
title?
Well, no, because like when you like because I'd write all the lyrics first, and then I'm looking at it, going and putting it together. How does that? Like, what would be one word that puts all of these words into? It's say like that was the way that I kind of work. Like I'm never thinking. I don't go on like I'm going to write a theme. Like I've got a theme that I'm going to do, or like I'm going to talk about this today. It doesn't.
So the song isn't about something. You write a bunch of words and then you do title last and kind of think, what's the summation of these?
Yeah. And it's so really for me, it's a discovery about what's happening. Probably in the back of my head. It's not so much in the front. So I'm not coming at it. And particularly with the music that the guys write as well, I'm trying to bounce off of the feelings and the emotions that are already there. I mean, like in a lot of ways, guitar and bass and drums speak. They have their own language. And it's about interpreting them into something that is understandable into lyrics. Yeah.
Do your titles then appear in the lyrics? Like, are they phrases from the lyrics that become titles? Or is it something else entirely that's like the title of the piece?
Yeah, sometimes it's... Yeah, it depends. Like, I think for Ryan and for Jarryd and myself, when we talk about it, I think there is... You can feel a little bit weird about... Like, sometimes it's good to grab a bit from the lyrics as the name of your... track, but at times it's just a little bit.
So like off kilter.
Yeah,
is words in the song.
Yeah, is words in the song.
But Vygotsky is not.
Yeah, I mean, like Erased was originally Rat in a Cage.
Sure.
Because that's what I said, but then it was just kind of like, nah, it didn't sit right, and Ryan came back with Erased, which was like really kind of picked up that whole idea of what the song was about.
Are they almost all one-word titles then? Something has just occurred to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for off kilter.
Off kilter. Is that hyphenated? You've got there's just
No, it's 2 words.
You should have hyphenated it. Then.
Yeah.
Because you've even done uppercut. Like uppercut's all one. Yeah.
Yeah.
one
I mean,
word.
almost entirely one
most
word
of the
titles.
music that I've listened to, especially in kind of like the metal kind of genre, they always tend to have just a one-word thing. It's not really, don't have massive long names. So yeah, that's what I've tried to.
Not a fan of black metal then, with the like the fallen, the witches, grace of the doom, with the wolves, something.
Or
Maybe
mid-2000s metalcore.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a Day to Remember titles and stuff like that. I'm made of wax. Larry, what are you made out of?
Under Oath and Norma Jean as well.
Yeah, we're thinking of those people who are trying to type that in. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
Just try and keep it fairly succinct.
Well, that's a quick promo then for the Radio Adelaide website, radioadelaide.org.au, where all the songs are listed that we play tonight. You can listen back to the repeat of the show at any time once the show ends at midnight, and our Facebook page, MOSH Radio Adelaide, will have all the details as well. The songs as chosen by Grey Hearts Red in the studio, and the link to the stream so you can replay it, share it around, all that kind of good stuff. Get around their album called Whatever I Have Left. Speaking of what we have left, we've got half an hour of this show, so let's give a play to the song Parisia.
by numbers, you'll be alright. I'm pointing the fingers, what I should do. They still got no answers, I'm looking for you. Waiting in silence, I'm counting the days. Found no one to help me and no one to blame. You keep starting over, things falling through. I give up on searching, I give up on you. Is there anyone listening? Do you hear my house cry?
Scotoma by Grey Hearts Red. That one then not part of the Whatever I Have Left album. It's almost like the stopgap, I think, between material.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways we looked at it as a bridge in some ways of where we've, probably not where we've been necessarily, but where we were heading, where we were going. So yeah, it's definitely, it was definitely something that we wanted to get out there and probably just to let everyone know that we were still alive and still kicking. Before when we were having that conversation about names of songs.
That's right. So Parisia was a song we played before it and went straight into Scotoma.
Yes. So Parisia was not... so Scotoma is about an I thing. So getting something partially altering your view or seeing where what you're looking at or how you're seeing things. So that was that. And when I was talking about Parisia, I had the Scotoma idea in mind. But Parisia is actually all about just frankly speaking, about making a statement and being as heartfelt and as, just as authentic as you possibly can. And Parisia, I guess the whole album for me lyrically is pretty close to home. And there was part of me that didn't want to release it because of that, because I was being really honest in a lot of the stuff that I've written. And so I think Parisia is one of those tracks that kind of just talk about, I'm frankly speaking about this is where I'm at and this is what's going on for me. But I think for the entire album, that's what's going on with that.
What does it feel like addressing those later, I guess in the future, further down the line?
Yeah.
I guess you won't be so close to those experiences as time goes on.
No. But also, one of the things that we worked on was the whole idea of hope. There's got to be a sense of hope in the songs. Like, you know, whatever you're struggling with and whatever you're having to deal with, and in the lyrics, it was all having just there's that smidgen of hope that things will change, that things will get better, that it'll be okay. And we wanted to make sure that the tracks actually had that as a, I don't want to say positivity to it, but just to give, so it didn't actually, it lifted people up or it gave people that hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
I think that is part of the sort of Grey Hearts Red sound, is that it sometimes feels quite melancholy or quite sort of minor in key, but it does have a bright harmony to it, and it doesn't always feel quite gloomy by the end. You know, each song does sort of have this like you say, like a light emerging at the end.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that's, I guess that's important. I listened to a lot of melancholy stuff growing up in Soundgarden with Chris Cornell, all of his stuff. I really connected to, and at the time that was really brilliant for me because I felt as though that here's this guy who's pouring out his heart, and I'm really connecting with that because I feel the same way. But I imagine that if you're singing those kind of songs over and over again over a long period of time, that would be incredibly difficult. And so in some ways, I'm future-proofing the songs for myself, so that I may be feeling like this, and I may be taken back to that point. But at the same time, I'm also knowing that there's that hope that things will change.
Yeah, the resolution to those ideas kind of lives in the song.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Well, we haven't got much show to go. We haven't got too many songs of Grey Hearts Red still to play. In fact, I'm going to break in again with another My Refuge song called Safe Haven. Anything to tell us about it before we hit play?
It's the last track on the EP, and I like last tracks quite a bit because they quite often have that epicness to them, and I deliberately wrote this one knowing I wanted it to be the last one, and I really like the kind of the epic ending that it has, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it just leaves you wanting.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. This is probably my favourite of mine, of My Refuge, so yeah.
So yeah, let's give it a play. My Refuge with Safe Haven, the end of their EP, and getting close to the end of our show here on MOSH on Radio Adelaide.
tops don't delay. Go with my power, go with my strength. Fight for the truth, put the snake and scorpions under your feet. I sent you out. Do not fear what they hear. What they have, they can't touch you. The kingdom is near. I sent you out. I sent you out. I sent you out. I sent you out. I've walked the path ahead of you. I draw the line of fire. I stand before and behind you. I alone for all of time. I lay my hand upon you. I've made my claim and you are mine. My blood's been spilled. This is not a game. I fight for you alongside. I said I'll never leave you. I will love you till the end of time. When enemies surround you, I am on your side.
Okay, so where are we up to? Pretty much the end. That was Wolves Part 2 by Grey Hearts Red. What's...
Indeed.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. You gave me a look for a second. I was like, fuck, was that the wrong song?
Was it?
Back me up here.
No.
Yes.
And before it's Safe Haven by My Refuge. What is Wolves Part 2 then?
It's following on from Wolves.
So you had like some extra song, is something else that you wanted to just separate from the main part of
No,
Wolves?
interesting enough, Ryan from the start really liked what I'd done in Wolves and deliberately wrote a part 2.
Interesting.
And so I knew it was going to be a part 2 from the moment I started writing on it as well. In that he wanted it to be similar. It might not have been a part 2 specifically, but then obviously Andrew jumped on that as well and continued the theme of the lyrics. But you can feel like it's a very similar structure and then very similar things, and so it made a lot of sense to try and evolve Wolves in a different way.
Is it a Kill Bill 1 and 2 situation where I should listen to them back to back and make it a whole part?
It's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I've never... Probably actually haven't put them back to back before to actually hear
should
what
have done that.
Yeah.
But they were so far apart in the album, I thought, well, that's probably what's intended. But
Yeah.
I would like to. I'm going to go on the drive home. I'm going to play them back to back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You have to let us know.
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that you're not even sure yourself. So I'll have to see how that goes. I'm about to jump into our gig guide, so I suppose I'll have to ask you a very probing question. What's the live situation with Grey Hearts Red?
At the moment, we are just a studio band, so we'll be recording for a while now. So we're not going to be out and about for a bit. I think we've seen a lot of bands from that, just when COVID hit, and then afterwards, just losing gigs left, right, and centre, and getting smashed by that. And we've seen some really great bands close up and head off as well because of the difficulties that it is for live music at the moment. So for us, we're just focused on just recording and getting our music heard. So that's where we're at the moment.
Okay. We're going to jump into a quick gig guide. There's obviously going to be one big focus of this weekend, which we'll get to in a second. Then we're going to do our last track for Grey Hearts Red. We've had you guys live in the studio. Very quickly, tomorrow at the Gov, you can see the Brian Jonestown Massacre. Not particularly heavy, but lots of guitar and effects histrionics for you to check out with the Druid Fluids. At the Crown and Anchor, the Connections, Kin and Curly Hollow will be playing. On Thursday, Dance Gavin Dance are hitting the Gov with Heartline. The Crown and Anchor has got Sick Visor, Pity Lips and Curly Hollow. And a band called Rabbit Sex Mask, who I hadn't heard of before, but can't go past that fucking band name. The Weird Debut is happening at the Hotel Metro with Dew and Trungly and Horsepower. On Friday, friends of the show, New Life Odyssey are playing with Smoke No Fire and Mantra at the Grace Emily. Apes of the State, Pigeon Pit and PBCBs are playing at the Crown and Anchor. It's good to see PBCBs back in action. King Jeff are launching their album Moon Landing at Jive with The Offends, Blush and Dead Wes. Blind Coyote, The Birds of Spies, and Sugar Tongue are playing at Unibar. That's your Friday. Obviously, Saturday is Froth and Fury Fest happening at Pirate Life Brewing with The Butterfly Effect, Suicidal Tendencies, Sunk Loto, Alien Weaponry, The Halo Effect, Ocean Grove, Red Hook, Caligula's Horse, Wind Waker, Ocean Sleeper, Lagerstein, Beyond the Black, The Immensa, Relica, Mirrors, Dr. Colossus, Melancholia, Hidden Intent, Devilskin, Ivani, Mannequin Death Squad, have I ever missed a line? No, it's Mannequin Death Squad, Freedom of Fear, Cauldron Black Ram, Decidia, Stabatha and the Knifey Wifeys, Cull the Band, Relapse, Nocturnal Animals, Hellfire and Captain Hellfire and the Wretched Brethren, Emergency Rules, Descend to Acheron, Chainsaw Preachers, Warpath Vapors, Late Night Lies and Suffer the Avenue. So that's all happening. If you haven't got your ticket to that, you got to fucking check them out. There are a lot of previous MOSH guests in that lineup. It's a big, big show. Now 3 stages at Pirate Life, so what they're doing is absolutely insane. Not many venues are keen to compete with that. You can see Badland Caravan at Unibar with the Birds of Spies, Pash, and the Genevieves. And then there's a few cover nights and DJ nights, which I think is probably the best way if you're a venue to try and compete with Froth and Fury Fest. The Pearl Jam Experience is doing 30 Years of Verses, which is my personal favourite Pearl Jam album, at Lion Arts Factory. Emo Night AU has got Emo High happening at Rhino Room. It's 20 years since the Blink-182 self-titled album, so that's getting an anniversary party at Lion Arts Factory. And then on Sunday, Dan Jenkins, Laura Brown, and Brendan Hill will be giving you some acoustic folk punk at the Crown and Anchor. All that stuff will be on our Facebook page, MOSH Radio Adelaide. Check it out, as well as the link to the stream from tonight's show with Grey Hearts Red. Whatever I Have Left, yes, is the album that's out now. And it's now time to play the final track called Underground. You talked about final tracks a little bit, Jarryd.
Yes.
What's your feeling about this final track here?
I wrote it as a final track.
Yeah.
This is the one track. No, there's only 2 tracks on this album that were written on guitar first. Okay. And this is one of them. I wrote this with the intention of wanting to put it last. And so in every iteration of the album order, this was always last. So there's that distinct ebb and flow and then almost continuation feeling at the end that I like as an album closer.
Yeah, I love it. I like them as well. We're ending the show tonight as the album ends. One more time. Grey Hearts Red here on MOSH on Radio Adelaide. Whatever I Have Left is out now. We're very keen for another one, maybe in a year's time. So please come back to MOSH. It's been a while since we've had you on, but it's been great to have you guys again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Indeed.
Here we go with The Underground by Grey Hearts Red from here in Adelaide. This has been MOSH. We'll see you next Tuesday.